Good morning, family. All right, it is Monday, February 9th, post-Super Bowl. How are we feeling? And this is Roll Call. Daniela working the background. A shout out to my wife. She's very, very supportive of all of this. And we've got some outstanding guests. I can't wait to share these two fine gentlemen. They've got some great stuff, man. These two gentlemen, we hold them in high esteem. And so we're going to bring them on shortly. But before we do that, I'm going to ask that you share this out. Please, if you're watching live, please continue to share. Tag someone. Again, Roll Call is not about us or about the guests or highlighting anything like that. It's really about sharing resources for our beloved veterans. That's really the goal here. So we'll honor the professional side of what these veterans will share, right? But we really are a community for resources, all things resources in terms of how to apply for benefits. Some of the veterans you're going to hear share out some of the challenges and struggles. Everyone has a different perspective. So I just want you to know that that's what we do here. All right. So excited. Shout out to everyone who's already supported us and continues to support us. The show continues to evolve, right? So please, we welcome any and all feedback. Having said that, let's go with these two veterans, man. I mean, just the way this kind of came together here in the last 24 hours, I couldn't have scripted this or planned this. Again, these two gentlemen, we hold them, Danielle and I hold them in high esteem. Let's go with Jeremy Roadruck. What he does and how he does it is exceptional. And I don't want to make up anything and dishonor them. So I'm going to read it verbatim here. Jeremy Roadruck, combat engineer, U.S. Army Reserve, third generation military. Never deployed, but was fully willing to serve. The same commitment drives Jeremy's work today, helping veterans and high-performing dads release anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt fast. Often in a single conversation. That's interesting. I can't wait to hear that. No fault, no blame, no guilt, no shame. Just ownership and the ability to respond instead of react. Man, I think I need to hear that. A 6th-degree Kung Fu master and hypnotherapist. And so there's a last part there. I'm going to reserve that for Jeremy so he can share that last part. But, man, I'm excited. Jeremy, I got to meet him at a men's retreat, right? So Jeremy practices what he preaches. I got to meet him at a retreat in Florida. And I was just impressed. Out of all the people in the room, I was like, wow. And I said, hey, Jeremy, you want to go live just to talk about what we're doing here? Man, on the fly, Jeremy came on and he was just sharing what he does. And I was like, he's my guy. I mean, he truly has a passion and love for what he does. So I can't wait to introduce Jeremy here. And then we've got another gentleman here. I'm honored. I absolutely love Dennis LaRue Jr. He's a retired Air Force veteran and leadership coach. By the way, I got inject. I don't think he shared it here, but I know he's a John Maxwell certified, and he's done a lot of things with John Maxwell. In fact, not just through certification, I believe he's actually met John Maxwell, and they've worked in certain capacities together. So I'll let him share that. A leadership coach helping veterans transition from rank-based leadership to relationship-based leadership without losing their edge or their identity. Guys, give it up. And I know Danielle's got the clapper, right? We're about to hit those applause, and we're going to bring, let's see. I love this. Bring on. Here we go. Gentlemen, welcome to Roll Call. Report.
Morning.
Coach Dennis LaRue, all present or accounted for.
I love it. Jeremy.
Good morning, gentlemen.
I love it. I listen, guys. Again, Danielle and I, we hold you in high esteem, and thank you again for agreeing to come on. Just very exciting. And Jeremy, I'll start with you, brother, because when I met you, as I shared when we started, you really have a heart for working with men and you truly are a true leadership. And outside of the military is what we're talking about, but you have a background in Kung Fu. How has that kind of shaped you a bit? And I think he might have come off. He'll be back on. Let's see. We'll bring him on. All right. And
Weird.
boom, there's magic.
Weird. What just happened? I was there.
All right. So I was saying, Jeremy, love your love what you're doing in with veterans and how you're helping dads. What's the tie-in with Kung Fu and what you do?
It's really about in Chinese, Kung Fu means skill and ability developed through hard work over time. So anything you do as a human being, if you can get better with practice, it's Kung Fu. It's a skill. And that means if you dig in. So mindset, that's a story. That's a game. That's a skill. Our strength is a skill. Our ability to impact others is a skill. Our ability to leave a positive legacy is a skill. So everything is a skill if you look at it in a certain way. Even breathing can be a skill, right? Practicing like breathing nice and slow, in for 5 seconds, out for 5 seconds, in for 10 seconds, out for 10, in for 15, out for 15. It's like you don't think about it, but like breathing is kind of important. You need to do it about at least every minute, right? But yet we don't train people. And when you start to focus on your ability to breathe, especially breathe under stress, you stay more relaxed, right? You stay out of that fight or flight and you operate and rest and digest. You're literally retooling your entire nervous system. And so, the system I'm involved in is called Shaolin Wing Chun, and we've been around essentially since about 480 AD. So a couple of weeks. And a lot of the wisdom that's been passed through, right? In combat, we like to say first place or second place, first place loser, right? There's either win or die. And so with 1500 years of history, a lot of really cool ideas came forward because those are the ideas that survived, and the idea of learning how to self-regulate, right? We talk about, mental care, mental process, mental health. Cool. It starts with just one breath, right? Because the next breath isn't guaranteed. And if we can bring our sense of presence to right here, that's what fighting is, right? Fighting is a reality in the moment. There is no past, there is no future, there's only now and what you do now and who's standing next to you and how are you covering each other. Like that's the reality. But then unfortunately, combat, the consequences are life and death. Well, the rest of our life is not nearly as intense. But if you mess around for 10 or 15 years, it still has an impact on your life. So real life is like slower than combat. But if we can begin to understand fighting, be real. But then we add another piece, which is be compassionate, create space. Because a soldier is a professional who does a job. And then, hey, combat's done, quick, immediately. How can we start to give aid? How can we start to support? How can we start to rebuild? Because the goal is not, we're just going to kill everything that moves. It's we're going to stop the targets as necessary, secure the objective, and then what is we're going to rebuild and expand and make it better, right? And so that's really the connection.
Man, I'm telling you, Coach Dennis LaRue, what was your take on that? Because that was a powerful start to this conversation.
Yeah. Well, I served 23 years in the Air Force, and my job was a little bit different. I was a consultant. That's the best way to describe what I did. I was in between commanders in the field, commanders at higher headquarters, and getting yelled at both because they couldn't have what they wanted. So for me, I just got yelled at all the time. Either got yelled at or whatever. But what I heard there from Jeremy was, the preparation, the presence, but we're not trained to process after. It's skipped out of the loop because the next day, if you're out in the field, you're doing it again. You're preparing, you're positioning, if you're having to fire a weapon, you're peppering, you're creating that, you're in that a moment. You don't have time to think about your feelings and emotions and all the pressure. And then the day's over and you go back to process. You don't process. And what I'm hearing Jeremy say is what he does is he helps he helps people process. He puts the process piece in the end, as well as the presence piece, and working through all the challenges. Because if you don't process, that's where we get PTSD, right? I mean, that I'm not a doctor, so I can't diagnose that, but I would say not being able to process is part of the problem that causes PTSD. That's what I heard.
Dennis, thank you for that. And I'm going to share something, and then I want Jeremy to his insights, because again, both of you are sharing it from your perspective, right? And wow, how valuable is that? I'm like, wow, Jeremy started strong with that. I was like, he had me lean in, and then what you shared, I know that you're out of that San Antonio area, correct? Is that the area?
Correct.
And we talked about, and on the show before with other veterans, about the PTSD and how real this is. They talk about 22 veterans take their lives a day, and I know Jeremy also talked about there's this other number, and I want him to share that after you chime in on this. Recently, what has happened in that San Antonio area that has really brought it to the forefront? It's happened. It's not just new, but what is happening in your area, your VA hospitals?
Yeah, not too long ago, a veteran was at the VA and became one of the 22 right there at the VA. I don't know all the details, but that's happened before, what I understand it. And well, 22 of us veterans take our lives every day, and that's heartbreaking. That is absolutely heartbreaking, because our veterans need help. And I'm in a city where we're called Military City. We have a lot of the resources that we need. The challenge, there's so many different challenges. I myself, my story is completely different. One of the challenges during active duty was mental health. Going to the mental health clinic was a stigma. It was a stereotype. It was, if you went, the story was, if you went there, you could lose your security clearance, you could not get promoted, you could get kicked out. Well, you know what? I'm going to just let it out right now. I didn't. I worked in a TS area. I got promoted. I ended up, at that point in my career, I was about 8 years away from retirement. And I went to that clinic for a year, and I told my mental health professional, "You saved my life." The reason I went is because of the training I got. When I heard that voice say, "Maybe you're better off not being here," I went in. I picked up the phone and called right there on the spot, and spent the next year working with a mental health. So I think part of the challenge is the mindset is that the stereotype, I don't want to need help. I don't want to get help. I don't want to ask for help. Servant leaders don't like to ask for help. But we all need it and have to step forward. So I think that's part of the challenge, is the stereotype and the needing help. And then once we're outside the wire, it's a different world out there. We go from having a wingman to looking for one, or a battle buddy. We start looking for one. Who's out there? Who do I know? Because I was doing some research on this. One of the stats that I saw that blew my mind is, I'd heard this, but then I did some research on it. About 6 to 7% of the US population actually served at any time in the military. Now take that to where I'm a retiree, that percentage dips to like 0.6%. So that means in an organization, say of 100 people, 6 to 7 people may have served, and only one of them may have retired. And so the longer you stay in, the more conditioned you are to the environment, right? Mm-hmm. And once you get outside of that environment, you're like, there are certain expectations I had of organizations and people that when I got out, I realized, wow. For instance, leadership. Man, the military is fantastic at leadership development. So I thought, well, if we're doing it, certainly out there, they're doing it. No, they're not. Bringing in a John Maxwell for 2 weeks isn't leadership development. That's a leadership event. That's not a leadership development program. That's an experience.
Thank you, my brother. I mean, this is I want Jeremy to chime in on this. Man, this is so needed right now. In this time, both of the information that you gentlemen are sharing, trust me, it's needed. Jeremy, what's your take on Coach Dennis LaRue?
Yeah, no, he's exactly on point, right? The stigma, the risk of I'm gonna lose. How is this gonna be weaponized against me, right? Unfortunately, I deal a lot with men, and especially high net worth men that can't always be seen appearing weak, right? Vulnerable. As much as the world tells us be vulnerable, soldiers, be vulnerable. Is that a good fighting position? Fuck no, we're not going to do that. So the idea of vulnerability already is against our nature. So I flipped that script to be raw, be real, be open, be honest. Because when you own your stuff, it's really hard to weaponize against you.
Mhm.
10 divorced dads a day end their lives. 22 soldiers, military every day ends their lives. And it's because they've reached a point where the story they're telling themselves, everybody's life would be better off without me, or I can't win this game, I'm not going to play. And so being action takers, we take the action, we're the problem is our story, we believe somehow. And so then we remove ourselves as a kindness to everyone else. And once we accept that story, it's like, ooh, things get ugly fast, because then anybody tries to give you anything support. No, it's okay. I'm good. It's good. Because we've made a decision to punch that exit card. And it doesn't have to be that way. Right. And that's, you've got it down below in your rolling scroll, call 988. Right. Well, you can also text to 988, right? 911 for physical emergencies, 988 for mental and emotional emergencies. Do not go into the dark alone. Bring somebody with you. Just ask for help. It's there, but you have to open that door to be poured into. And the fear is, if I get that help, what does that say about me? And I'm going to have to pull resources. It's like for the Army, we're trained not to kill. We're trained shoot to wound. Because if we kill the soldier, kill the opponent, they grab the guy, take him off, or he's dead. He doesn't do anything. If we wound him, now he's yelling and screaming, and we pull 2 or 3 other guys to deal with him. So you take away, right? The goal is not to just kill everybody. It's to take away the enemy's ability to continue to fight. So if we can demoralize them, if we can, get inside their head, if we can damage their infrastructure, their logistics, if we can damage, go for the knee, right? Rather than just kill them, take the knee, because then they're yelling and screaming and cool, we win. But that mindset, then we have to fight against that, right? Because it's like, dude, I am wounded. Cool. Let's get you support. Let's get you what you need to thrive. Because, especially military, you literally were willing to put your life on the line and sacrifice yourself for the greater good, then now allow us to serve you. And the problem is the math, right? And for a lot of military, the idea of deserves, right? All the good we've ever done minus all the harm we believe we've caused that we haven't forgiven ourselves for. And whatever that math is, that's what we deserve. We won't ask for more. And then the worst part, we won't ask for help from people that we decide don't have the help to give. They're not available. We've decided they don't have the bandwidth for them. We didn't ask. So when our friends are complaining, well, I'm not going to complain about my stuff because, yeah, it's bad, but it's not that bad. And we don't want to take from them. We want to give to them. Cool. So allow other people to pour into you and allow yourself to receive. It's not weakness. It's a balance. Because if you naturally will give and all you ever do is give and give and give and give and give and give and give, when are you getting recharged? When are you receiving? When are you allowing people to pour into you? So be fair and allow them the gift, because you feel good when you help someone. Cool. Let them feel good helping you. It's okay. You just got to say, I'm not doing so good. That's it. We don't have to get super messy and super fancy about it. Just, dude, I'm not doing so good. All right, what's going on? And let's unpack that story.
Wow, it sounds like shared pain is less pain. Now we've been talking about that, Danielle and I. Again, just get it off your heart and get it off your mind, because like anything else, it'll grow, it'll fester. And they say, I had a mentor who said to me, 1% doubt, you're out. And I was like, it took me a minute to process it. Like, what do you mean? Like 1% doubt? Because yeah, you get one runaway thought, man, and you're off to the races. So personally, for me, as a veteran and someone who's on the books for 100% PTSD and things that were related, not just military, but for us veterans that are watching and your families, there's a veteran in your family that you know that, man, they need some help. Just what Jeremy was sharing and what Coach Dennis LaRue. There's things in your past, for example, and I won't be long-winded, but I want to share. I had a child sexual trauma that the military triggered. I didn't know this. I didn't know why I was acting out in boot camp and then in other places. And I'm like, man, this is not what I signed up for. Why am I feeling these feelings? I didn't know how to handle it. But I got molested not once but twice by family members. And that I buried it, man. I buried it so deep that I thought it were dreams. And then here I did the alcohol thing and numbing it, just all these things that we do. And I've had to use the suicide hotline. I've had to do this because I'm like, how do I process this? This is why this is so important. And my heart goes out to these veterans. And today, when I have some feelings that are just like, even last night, we were triggered. Many people were triggered from the Super Bowl. Like comments, if you guys watch the Super Bowl, people are talking about the Bad Bunny concert. And I'm like, I'm Puerto Rican. I love my culture, but I don't really care for how he projected with some of the language. And I got some flashback from people. And I was like, guys, have a good night. I'm going to sleep well. I'm just sharing this with you guys. I'm all for the cultural thing, but I'm not here to debate the finer points of this is entertainment. So your comments on that, Coach Dennis?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I have never liked the halftime show. I like, give me the football, give me the first half, give me the second half. I literally don't watch the halftime shows, so I can't speak to the entertainment piece or other, because there's a lot of people that love the entertainment. I saw all the flashback and the smoke going from up and down. To me, I just don't let it bother me anymore. I'm consistent. I literally just watch the game. Halftime, I'm gone. I'm doing the things I would do in the regular season. I'm getting more food, restroom break, or catching up with honey-do list stuff if I have to. Whatever's got to get done. To me, that's important. But what I'm hearing also is it's also values. You can be entertained and have values at the same time. And if one trumps the other, values wins. Because entertainment, another word for entertainment is amusement. And you know what it means to amuse? It means to not think. That's the whole point of entertainment, not to think. Values require thought.
I love that. Danielle, if you don't mind writing that down, quoting him, and if you don't mind sharing that one more time, and then I want Jeremy to chime in on that. You can be entertained and have values at the same time.
At the same time, that's right. Because to entertain means to be amused, and to be amused means not to think. That means you shut the brain off. You're shutting off, and that means you're letting all that stuff pour in. Values, your values is your platform. It's your foundation. It's who you are. And when amusement and entertainment impact values, you can either crack your foundation or you change what your amusement is in your entertainment. To me, my foundation is more important.
It's rock solid, man. Man, you guys are taking me to school today, man. Jeremy? What's your thoughts on that? Super Bowl entertainment, you like it? You don't? Whatever you feel.
I thought it was an interesting cultural experience. I could see a lot of the experience of like Puerto Rico, and he's got like, you're down in the village and you're in the grass and you're in the, like, it was just such a different take than what I've seen, because it wasn't the explosions and fireworks. I felt like, for me, because I don't speak Spanish, so I didn't follow the song hardly, but he was showing like, this is my culture and this is where I come from and these are my people and this is my community, was the side that I took, because it was, you felt like you were going somewhere and he was showcasing something versus look at me. Like I can't say it, the lyrics may have been look at me, I don't know, but the overall was like, that's a really interesting take. And it's something we haven't really seen before, like the whole immersion. And it turns out like all those plants were actually people in costume, because we saw behind the scenes where like they all ran out and got in spot and then ran back off. And it was like, dude, I had no idea. Like, so what'd you do? Well, I was plant number 427. That's an interesting way to be.
Yeah, no, listen, and to your point, because because that was the flashback on that I was hearing, a lot of the noise. We love that, right? We love the cultural vibe and aspect. But here's what happened. When you understand Spanish, you're like, oh my God, you're just all that beauty. The lyrics, just for me, there was a disconnect because there were the vulgar. It was like, basically like booty calls, and you saw the ladies, and it was like I'm alone, and just like almost like talking about fellatio. And I was like, man,
Gotcha.
all the cultural stuff just got, in my opinion, and of course, folks said later, oh, it got better. But you're making, I'm like, no, I'm good. This is not to argue. I'm just expressing, guys, that I have to really tune out, because at one point in my life, I would listen to that. Like, that would have been cool. I've been going on sobriety for 2 years. I don't listen to that. Just to Coach Dennis LaRue's point, my values and entertainment, trump my values at a certain point in my time. And it got me in trouble. It got me in an unhappy, dark place where I was calling suicide hotline, because I let all of that, like Coach Dennis LaRue said, seep in. Today, I praise God. I'm grateful. I've got people that want to be around me. I've got people that, say, hey, Emilio, good job there. Before, I was like, man, don't let Emilio come to this house. Like, I've had people one time, real quickly, because we're having a real conversation. I remember I was at a bar. I went to the bathroom, and the folks that I was with, I was buying them a beer, because that's my values at the time, right? Wherever you and I spend our time, that's what we value. So I was at the bar, and I remember thought I was having a great conversation with this gentleman. And I came back, and the guy said, hey, you know that guy right there? I'm like, yeah, we're having a great. He said, never, ever bring you to his house. I was like, well, I don't even know him like that. He goes, yeah. So apparently, just letting you know, Emilio, like, that's the reputation you have. And I was like, wow. Of course, I didn't see myself that way. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, we never see ourselves as we are, right? We all have blind spots.
Sure. That's why they're blind. That's why they call blind spots. Everybody else sees them.
Yep. Yeah. In psychology, they have what's called the Johari window. And it's like, what do you see? What do you show? What do other people see? And then there's a gap. There's a blind spot nobody sees, right? Because there's things in Johari, Johari. It's from two different psychologists that put this together. But basically, yeah. So it's because we have a facade. That's the thing that we show, because we know things about ourselves that we don't show. So we put a facade or a false front out, right? But then there's the things we know, and that's where a lot of self-sabotage actually shows up, because our on-stage presence versus our backstage or our off-stage presence, they're two separate things, right? Now, the laziest thing you can do is just be the same both places, right? Good or bad. I don't judge that, but it's just the laziest, most efficient thing is make your backstage and your on stage like they're just the same. But then there's the stuff that people see about us, but there's people that see that we don't see, right? Like, literally, you can't see the back of your head unless you have two mirrors. You can use one mirror and see pretty much everything. And so we need those other people. We need those sounding boards, right? And you shared something really powerful. I don't want to gloss over it, Emilio, about, you had some impact in your childhood that played out later. So anytime anybody has any fault, any blame, any guilt, any shame, or any self-sabotage, that's almost always inner child stuff, because your inner child doesn't feel safe. So fault and blame, I got to point fingers. Who do I stick this on, or stick it on myself, and I'm so worthless and dumb. And then the guilt and shame is just that's the wound. Right. And it's, I'm not enough, or I'm too much. Cool. In that way at this moment, and then we can begin to expand. And as we bring context, that's where we get healing, as we begin to bring bigger context in, because a lot of us get stuck at between 2 and 11 years old. Something happened in our lives that's beyond our capacity to process. Right. And then what happens? We get stuck and we hit a ceiling. And then that becomes our answer to a lot of stuff. And then we can bury it. Like, I had a similar story. I buried my stuff for 20 years. But it comes out sideways. People are like jelly donuts. Put pressure, spreads out sideways. And so any fault, blame, guilt, shame, any self-sabotage, cool. That's something unresolved. There's a landmine in your unconscious to go deal with. So the world right now, triggers has become such a powerful phrase that people use, but they miss the other piece, which is triggers only work when you have an anchor in your nervous system, right? Because the trigger has to attach to some lived experience inside of you, because no external thing has meaning until you give it meaning. Someone's yelling at you. Okay, cool. What does that mean? Right? Does that mean that they're angry? Does that mean that they're scared? They're worried about something? Does that mean they don't feel heard? Does that mean they're just a very loud person normally? Does that mean that they've repeated themselves too many times? Does it mean they're exhausted? Right? There's 6 different interpretations to that one behavioral pattern. Are they yelling, or are they just talking louder than you would prefer? Right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the story we create, the meaning we give, we're going to act accordingly. If this is a challenge, that's a story. We'll show up one way. If it's an opportunity, if it's a calling, if it's a gift, it's punishment. That one word is a form of hypnosis if we let it. And when we challenge those things and those assumptions and those jumping to conclusions, oh, there's our ability to choose. There's our ability to create meaning and power. And this is like I don't do mental health. I do mental process. Because when you say health, automatically you have illness. Right? And if I'm not mentally healthy, then I must be mentally ill. And it's like, well, who's the one mentally healthy person, the standard against which all the rest of us are judged? Because I haven't met them yet. I think we all have issues. We're all wonky donkey. Everybody eats, everybody poops. We all have crap to deal with, right?
All right, that's so powerful. I wrote this down. I don't do mental health. I do mental processes. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And could you clarify that one more time, like in the 5th grade level?
Yeah. So when you say, like we use a pen, right? When you say mental health, then that immediately creates the opposite of mental illness, because what's healthy, if you're not this, then you must be that. It creates what's called a false dichotomy, right? There's only 2 choices. You're either mentally healthy or you're mentally ill. Maybe. How about we have a mental process? We have some way between our inputs and our biology, between our thoughts and our feelings and what we see and hear and our biology. Between those two, we have a way to create meaning in our lives. And so rather than get caught up in health or illness, what if we talk about mental process? Because how did you arrive at that result? How did you arrive at that meaning? How did you arrive at that conclusion? When we look at the how, we start to pull away the fault and the blame, and we can begin to take ownership of our actions and our impact. Right? And so that's the whole, for me, the whole mental health, mental illness, it's a misnomer, and it forces people into these 2 buckets of either it's this or it's that. And maybe it is, but what if you could just shift it slightly? It's like the word anxiety is a nominalization, right, of anxious. It's a nouning of a verb. So if you say you have anxiety, cool. Give it to me. What? Yeah. You have anxiety. You can give it to me, right? Because it's you have it. I have a pen. Here's my pen. Give me your anxiety. Well, it doesn't work like that. Then it doesn't exist. Feeling anxious exists. But when you say I have anxiety is an identity statement, not I am feeling anxious. Because I am feeling anxious, you're now what you are, a feeling state that can change, versus I am anxious. I am depressed. I am damaged. I am feeling damaged. I am feeling anxious. I am feeling depressed, because now the I is happening before all the rest of that stuff.
Man, Jeremy, you're taking us through a master class in Coach Dennis LaRue. Listen, anyone, please, if you guys are watching this on the live or on the replay, I'm going to ask you, sharing is caring. Please share this out. There is someone, to include myself, that benefits from this. I thought we were bringing on these 2 gentlemen, and I know they were going to share some powerful information. I didn't know how it was going to affect me. That's for sure. So I'm benefiting this morning, and we want others to benefit as well. By the way, Daniela will put down, so stick around to the end. And if Daniela wouldn't mind, Jeremy, how can people get a hold of you? And again, we want to do the same for Coach LaRue. But my God, powerful. Dr. Dennis LaRue, my brother, what's your take on this?
Well, what Jeremy said there, the big take for me was words matter. What you say to yourself and how you say say it matters, because when you say I am or I have anxiety, you're programming yourself to say, okay, if I'm anxious and I have it, then then your mindset says, okay, body, click in. Here's what we do when we're anxious. This is how we react. This is how we think. And so how you speak to yourself, I hear this all the time. Don't listen to yourself, speak to yourself. If you don't like how you're acting, if you don't like your circumstances and situation, well, then speak the one you want, and then act the way you want. Believe the way you want. Move forward. But if I keep saying to myself, well, I'm anxious, I have anxiety, I'm anxious, and fill in the blank, I am or I have, then you're telling yourself that's what you become.
Yeah. Wow, man. I'm telling you, I'm going to I don't like replays. I'll be honest with you. But this is on my list. I'm going to rewatch this. Again, I know Daniela, she's in the background, but she may want to chime in. She wants to be in the background. She can chime in if she likes. We've got a good 5 minutes on this, and I am so blessed. Gentlemen, in terms of resources, how can people, again, I want to make sure they can get a hold of you, and what would you share in terms of resources with what you have, but also outside of you? Is there any resources that you would recommend that people can tap into, especially with the VA or non-VA? Any one of you? Go for it.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna. So I have for veterans specifically, we talk about anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. I have a process to go deal with that. In as little as one conversation, we can integrate and release those emotions, learn the lesson from them, and let go of the memories, let go of the emotions, so it no longer has to live inside you. And that's a process. I have a discount for first responders and for military, because you guys put your lives on the line. We put our lives on the line. I got to include myself in the military. So, right, we put our lives on the line for others, and then we don't always get the support we need. So how can we make it so that our own inner world is not a battle anymore? How can we silence that? And there's ways to do it quickly. And if you're open to the conversation, leadlikeaking.com, book-now is the place to go. I'm the only Jeremy online. I'm super easy to find. Jeremy Roadruck. There's only one of us on the planet as me. So there you go.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. I absolutely love it, man. Your share. Again, every time we connect, you're so willing to help. And I know I would love for Daniela to chime in. If you don't mind, that I share something personal that we have within our family. And you came in, you stepped in. I don't know if Daniela is willing to come on and share part of it real quickly. How you're not just saying this, to have this conversation, you actually support it. So Daniela, if you want to come on, just briefly share this. She's going to get mad at me. Daniela?
I guess you gave me no choice.
Fallen told, welcome to the military.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, real quickly, without giving away too much, but yes, Jeremy stepped in to help someone close to me, and it was really appreciated. And the way he works with married men is nothing short of amazing. I mean, he just his tone. See, I'm a tone person, and I'll listen if you have a certain tone, I know I'll probably get attacked for this, but I'm not a Grant Cardone type of person, because he's too aggressive and, brilliant guy, give him his props, but that's not my thing. I can't process people that speak that way. I process the way Jeremy speaks, the way Dennis speaks, even Emilio, Emilio's kind of knows when to tone it. He's learned, Jeremy, you'd be proud of him. He's learned. Yeah. I've been telling him for years, right? It's a tone thing. And like you said something earlier, and I thought Emilio was going to jump on it. It's I think he's yelling, but I forgot how you put it.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not yelling. It's just, how
he's he's high energy. Like Emilio he's not shy. He's a high energy direct shooter, and you're going to get his heart on his sleeve because he's real.
Right. But it's the tone for me, right? Believe me, I'm a straight shooter. I say what I mean. but I have a certain way that I say it, and he has his way. But anyway, my point is, it's all about that for me and how the message gets relayed in that way. Like if you're yelling and you're, too aggressive, I'm not going to process what you're saying. It's not going to help me. So Jeremy, the way he approached this situation, they were open to it. They, whether, they followed all the way through, whatever, but Jeremy stepped up and really made a difference.
Thank you for sharing that, Jeremy. Yeah, thank you again for stepping in. And folks watching this, like this is real. This is about helping each other. We know we're leading with the veteran, helping, supporting veterans, but just know at the end of the day, whether we have the veteran attached to us, it's one brother helping another brother, one sister helping another. And we want to thank you. You want to comment on that before we bring Coach Dennis to share? Jeremy, yeah, I just wanted you to do want to comment off of what Daniela without being, without giving away what it was.
Yeah. Well, we all have our story and we all have our frame of reference and we all bring who and what we are in our lived experience. So what's normal is what you lived, right? Normal is just a setting on the dryer. There's no one standard. So we all have our own packaging, and then we bring our weirdness and they bring their weirdness, and sometimes we end up crashing, and it's like, oh, just a slight alignment. My job as a consultant, I come in and I offer slight adjustments. I don't make anybody wrong, but let's just make some slight adjustments so that we can get it's this, and it slides together and things work and it becomes more effortless, right? Less friction. And then if we're raising kids, when mom and dad are able to speak the same language, be on the same page, even if they have different points of view, the kids grow up being seen, being heard, and seeing that. And so it's like, how can we smooth over stuff? And a lot of times we get into conflict with people, not because of what they said, but because of what we received, and then how we understood what we received. And we didn't realize there's things we missed in the communication, or we're jumping to conclusions. Because you said this, you mean that. Well, did you ask? No. Oh, okay. Maybe we want to clarify first. Just double check before we jump to a conclusion. Right. And so sometimes just having that ability to breathe for a second and have that space, it's okay. It doesn't mean I don't love you. I actually do. And I want to understand you. So can I just clarify what I think I heard? Because where I'm going with that might not be great. And I think I missed something important. So can I just feed that back? Who's going to say, no, don't understand me better? Damn it. It's like,
Jeremy, yeah, thank you, my brother. And again, just that hit differently for me, what you just shared, because, we put on events, we work with our partners. I invest in a partner, they invest their time, energy with me. And, even part of this show, even things that we're doing, I can do that. I can lead to a conclusion and say, well, why did this person not do this? Instead of just asking them directly. And then there's quotes, right? Well, let me see there. Silence is acceptance. So if somebody's not getting back to me fast enough, I'm assuming they're processing the event or situation differently. But I'm in my mind going, well, silence is acceptance. My personality lends me to, hey, like, let's talk right now. Not realizing that somebody needs to process it because they're not processing it like me. So what's your take on that? And then I'll bring Coach Dennis.
Yeah, well, it helps to know what someone's decision-making style is, right? How many inputs do they need and how many outputs can they generate? Because some people give me all the data. Some people don't top three. Some people just give me the one thing. I trust you, right? So like knowing how much input they need to make a decision is one thing, but then how many outputs can they give me? They can give me the one right answer. That's going to take a while. They can give me multiple different takes and they're not really attached to any one of them. Right? The one perfect answer, they spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, they crafted, they researched, they did all the, and then when we go, nah, and it's like, it feels invalidating. It feels like completely dismissive. Oh, you know what? I love this. This is really thorough. As I'm reading this, it inspires for me. What if we added this and tweaked it this way? How do you think that could work? Now I've just honored what they did and I've adjusted the direction versus not like that. We're going to go this way instead. Well, screw you. Why'd I even waste my time? Right. So just how we kind of yes and is a beautiful frame for like folding things in. No or comma but. The minute you whatever you say comma but, you just killed everything before the comma. right? So you got to make an and sandwich. I love that comma. And I suspect, I feel it could. What do you think? Right? Just those little small tweaks, they smooth the flow, right? I heard somewhere like the real gift in communication is to tell someone to go to hell and they look forward to the journey. Like that's a good communicator.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe that was Winston Churchill.
I think so.
love
Yeah.
that quote.
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
quote.
Yeah, but and before real quickly, because on that, thank you for that. I heard it this way, Jeremy, from my vice principal. He said, the diplomacy. So he used it this way. He goes, the definition of diplomacy is sending someone to hell and making them look forward to the trip. that's so. It sounds like there's somewhere in there in the middle. But
Yep.
thank you for that, brother. Coach Dennis LaRue, man, just as I feel like I'm in a therapy session here, man. You guys are like dropping some gold. I got notes.
Yeah, this is so good because, what Jeremy said was really powerful about the reframe and in coaching. It's not but. As soon as you say but, I love what you said there, Jeremy, because it's true. Once you say but, the other person's tuned out. They have tuned out and you've turned on the I'm offended mode in that moment, in those statements. So, and I'm guilty of the but. I'll say it right now, I say but a lot. So reeling that back in, it's a great reframe for me. So, as I was thinking about all that we've said, it just reminds me of whether you're a veteran or not. My definition of leadership comes down to these three things. It's meeting people where they are, loving them for who they are, and not leaving them where they are. And I think that's where we're at. We've got to meet people where they are. We may not understand where they are, but that's not the point. It's create that space for them to be met. Then the next space is we don't judge them for who they are. We love them. We love them where they're at. And then after all of that, you've earned the opportunity, or maybe you haven't. You've got that trust built to now leaders lead. And so now you create that space of, hey, here's something for you. This might help you. How can I serve you? You get them out of, in this case, sometimes you got to get out of the trenches. You can't stay in the trench forever. You got to get out and you got to march. And so you don't leave them where they are. You be the wingman, you be the battle buddy, and you pull them from where sometimes you got to pull them from where they are, but other times you're just scattering the seed and the seed takes. And you may walk to the next person, but there's somebody coming right up for them. Meet people where they are, love them for who they are. Don't leave them where they are. Make them better. We're always told to make something better than it was before you got there. Well, everybody's definition of better is different. But if I walk away and say, I did the very best I could, and I served and I gave, and I listened and I asked questions and I'm curious, and I'm loving this person I know this, if you meet a person where they are and love them for who they are, they'll say you made them better where they are.
My brother, thank you. I was going to say parting words, man, but I want to still give you that. And how can people get a hold of you?
Thank you. Thank you. Well, this is streaming on Facebook, so I'm on Facebook. Unlike Jeremy, if you type in Dennis LaRue on the internet, you're going to find a retired National Hockey League official. So put the junior after it, and you'll find me. And you can also find me on LinkedIn. I do a lot of my writing and a lot of my posting on LinkedIn specifically. So Dennis LaRue Jr., you can find me on LinkedIn there. And I'll post in the Facebook some other links where they can reach out and schedule some time with me.
And again, Coach Dennis LaRue, I know we didn't even, dive into it because we got into this really, really hot topic, but I know that you worked with John Maxwell at some point, and you were there was something with John Maxwell, and then there was also the school. Are you still working as a professor or an adjunct?
Yeah, as far as Maxwell goes, I'm a Maxwell certified coach, and I got to do some great things with the team at a very high level, creating some of the curriculum that the 59,000 coaches around the world use. Um, Going to develop a country's leadership at all levels in Paraguay. I've had to do a lot of great things because of John Maxwell. I am at the University of Denver right now as an adjunct faculty coach, helping develop leaders at the anywhere from frontline leaders, first time leaders, up to senior leaders. It's just, I love leadership and I love pouring into leaders. And so I'm 360-degree leader, and whether they're at the bottom or at the top, we all need to grow.
Amen. Amen. I'm excited that you two gentlemen agreed to come on. One of my John Maxwell favorite quote is leadership. Let's see, leadership rises or falls, right? Everything rises or falls on leadership. And I had the honor to meet him at an event called Surge. Shook his hand, took a picture, did that. And I was like, Maxwell, I absolutely love, what you do. Of course, he's like, he didn't say it, but everybody was ushering us, but I was just like, man, like that was awesome. So yeah, I've just had that opportunity with him. And I know people like you are people that have developed leaders. And so I appreciate you, my good brother. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to, with Jeremy, the same question and share how people can get a hold of you again. And your last takeaway, and then I'm going to end with prayer.
Yeah, leadership is really summed up in one phrase. You can't push a rope. So if you have to push people, you ain't leading. That's managing. So you can't push a rope. So leadership, you got to get ahead. You got to have a bigger vision, more compelling future. You've got to be in the place they want to get to. You got to be ahead of the equation. Even if you're not there physically, mentally, emotionally, you got to be there. That's how you lead, right? It's who you are and where you're going. So again, Jeremy Roadruck, the only Jeremy on the internet. I've got a YouTube channel. I've got resources. I've got a free playlist for mental emotional reframes. There's 7 clips on there from 5 minutes to 30 minutes. So pick your flavor. If you're having trouble sleeping, there's a great meditation on there I put together for a client whose 9-year-old was having panic attacks at bedtime. So I put together a 20-minute thing, knocked him out by about 9 minutes, I think she said. So lots of free resources. I'm available to chat, right? Do not go alone into that good night. Fight against the dying of the light. So it's like, cool, get support, bring a battle buddy. I got you. So
Amen. Thank you, my good brother. I'll get the channels out here, and then I'm gonna end in prayer. So if you're a praying person, pray. If you are a meditating person, meditate. But listen, we have just really created this platform now, going on like 3 months. We even created an annual roll call marathon, which went on for 12 hours, actually, 12 hours. And so we're going to do it again, January 2nd of 2020. My gosh, Daniela, help me out here. We're in 2026, so 2027, we're going to do it again. And we may even go longer. So you two gentlemen, I'm already putting you guys in, man. You got to come in on the marathon and share this wonderful thing. So that's my take on it. Again, if you are a praying person, just take a few seconds here. And this is probably more for me than it is for you. Dear Father God, thank you. Thank you for this moment. We thank you for Jeremy. We thank you for Dennis taking time out of their schedule to pour into us with their experiences, with their education, and with their belief that we can all do better and be better if we just shared. Thank you for Daniela, my wife, Lord, for all of those that are traveling at this point in time, those that are struggling with addiction, traumas. We ask that they share, that they reach out, that they use the resources available to them to lessen the pain. I pray all of this in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for indulging me in a moment of prayer. You're welcome on the show. I truly, truly appreciate you both.
yeah, thank you for the opportunity to share, dude.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you. Jeremy, great meeting you, my friend.
Yeah, nice to meet you too, sir.
Amen. Let's stick around here for a few minutes as again, guys, God bless.